One of my deck chairs was sitting in the middle of the lawn, about 20 feet from the house. Standing next to it was a kid, a small kid. I couldn't make out his face in the dark, but his silhouette was unmistakable, way too small to be an adult. He was holding what looked like a PVC pipe. That explained the sound. The moment I looked out the window, he slammed the pipe against the chair. Clang. I stepped back immediately, my body filling with fear. I know it sounds stupid to be afraid of a kid, but what the hell was he doing outside my house? Had he been standing there for an hour? That realization made my stomach drop. I tried to calm myself. Maybe he was lost. Maybe he wandered off from a nearby house. I couldn't just stand there doing nothing. So I went downstairs toward the back door and turned on the porch light. As my hand touched the doorknob, I froze. Something felt wrong. If he was lost, why didn't he ring the doorbell? Why didn't he call out? And even if banging a pipe was his solution, why keep doing it for so long? My gut screamed at me not to open that door. I slowly backed away. Then I crept to a small window next to the door and tilted the blind just enough to see outside. And that's when I saw them. 2 men, dressed entirely in black, crouched below my back door, waiting, ready to ambush me the second I stepped outside. One of them suddenly looked up and locked eyes with me through the glass. I dropped the blinds and dialed 911. I barely made it upstairs before the banging started. They were trying to break in. I locked myself in the bathroom as the door downstairs crashed open. Footsteps echoed through the house. Someone climbed the stairs. The bathroom doorknob turned. Then a violent kick slammed into the door. I screamed that the police were on their way. Seconds later, I heard them run. A door slammed. Silence. The police arrived too late to catch anyone. They couldn't do much without cameras or descriptions. The only thing that made them take it seriously was the involvement of a child. They told me that meant this wasn't impulsive. It was planned, and that terrified me. I moved out not long after. Nothing like that has happened since. But I still think about it, especially that kid. I just hope, somehow, he's safe. I'm a single guy in my mid-30s. This happened a few years ago, during a pretty depressing period of my life. I had just broken up with my girlfriend of 5 years. The woman I truly believed I would marry one day. The one I thought I'd start a family with. It's safe to say I was completely lost back then. The psychological damage from the breakup hit me harder than I expected. I spent entire weeks sulking, barely taking care of myself. I'd wake up, talk to no one, go to work, talk to no one, and come home just to lie in bed for the rest of the day. Weekends were even worse. I'd forget to eat. I wouldn't leave the house. I'd binge watch movie after movie, barely even realizing what I was watching. But enough of that sob story. I'm doing much better now. Still, I can't help but think about the life I could have had if things had gone differently. Anyway, it was a Saturday night. I was slumped on my couch, barely moving except to press play on another random movie. I couldn't even tell you what it was. Just another mindless action flick I'd forget about as soon as it ended. For context, my bedroom is on the 2nd floor of my house. I have a couch and a TV in there, so I usually never watch TV anywhere else. At one point, I glanced down at my phone. It was a few minutes after 9 p.m. I remember that clearly because my mom was calling me for the 4th time that day. I didn't want to ignore her, but I let it ring anyway. I knew she meant well, but I couldn't bring myself to talk. I didn't want to hear the usual questions about whether I'd eaten or gone outside. Eventually, I backed out to the menu. I wasn't really in the mood for anything, but I clicked on some random horror movie I'd never heard of. One of those generic ones with a grainy thumbnail. I figured I'd half watch it until I fell asleep. About 20 minutes in, I realized the movie was even worse than I expected. The audio was a complete mess. Every time someone spoke, I had to turn the volume way up just to catch a word or two. Then the next sound effect would blast through the speakers and nearly rupture my eardrums. For some reason though, I kept it on. I think I was just too lazy to change it again. That's when I started noticing something strange. There was this sharp metallic clang, like a pipe hitting concrete, It didn't match anything happening on screen. No one was holding metal, no warehouses, no reason for that sound to exist. And it wasn't timed with the scares either. It just kept happening, every minute or so. Same sound, same volume, same pitch. It was almost too consistent. Between that and the awful audio mixing, I couldn't understand how this movie had even made it onto a streaming platform. Ironically, the poor quality made it harder to turn off, partly because I enjoyed criticizing it, and partly because I wanted to see how something so bad would play out. About halfway through, I got up to use the bathroom, and for once I actually paused the movie. When I came back and sat down, I hovered over the play button. That's when I heard it again, that same sharp metallic clang. But this time, the movie was paused. I froze. The screen was still. No audio, no movement. The sound had been clear as day, and it came from somewhere inside the house. That's when it hit me. It had never been part of the movie. I stood completely still, listening, hoping I'd imagined it. Then, about 45 seconds later, clang. I didn't waste another second. I jumped up, grabbed a knife from my desk, and started moving room to room, checking every place someone could possibly be hiding. Every room was empty. No one was there. Nothing was out of place. But as I walked back up the stairs, heart still pounding, I heard it again. This time, quieter. That meant it was coming from my bedroom, which made no sense. I had been in there the entire time. That's when I realized something. I had a few windows open. It was spring. The weather had finally warmed up. I started thinking, maybe the sound wasn't coming from inside the house at all. Maybe it was coming from outside. That thought scared me even more. I pushed the curtain aside and looked into the backyard. I'm a single guy in my mid-30s. This happened a few years ago, during one of the lowest periods of my life. I had just gone through a breakup with my girlfriend of 5 years, the woman I truly believed I was going to marry. The one I thought I'd build a life with. When it ended, it didn't just hurt. It hollowed me out. I was completely lost. The psychological damage was heavy and constant. Weeks would pass where I barely existed. I'd wake up, talk to no one, go to work, talk to no one, come home, and collapse into bed. Weekends were worse. Sometimes I'd forget to eat. Sometimes I wouldn't leave the house at all. I'd binge watch movie after movie, barely registering what was on the screen. Just noise to drown out my own thoughts. But I'm doing better now. Still, I often think about the life I lost, about how different things could have been. Anyway, this happened on a Saturday night. I was slumped on the couch in my bedroom, barely moving, except to press play on yet another random movie. I couldn't even tell you what it was, just another forgettable action flick. For context, my bedroom is on the second floor of my house. I have a couch and a TV in there, so I almost never watch TV anywhere else. At one point, I glanced down at my phone. It was a little after 9 p.m. I remember because my mom was calling me again. It was the 4th time that day. I let it ring. I knew she meant well, but I couldn't handle the questions. Had I eaten? Had I gone outside? Eventually, I backed out of the movie menu. Nothing sounded good. I randomly clicked on a horror movie I'd never heard of. The thumbnail was grainy, cheap. I figured I'd half watch it until I passed out. About 20 minutes in, I realized it was awful. The audio was a mess. Dialogue was barely audible, but every sound effect blasted through the speakers like a gunshot. For some reason, I left it on, probably because I didn't care enough to change it. That's when I noticed the sound, a sharp metallic clang, like metal striking concrete. It didn't match anything on screen. No metal, no warehouse, no reason. It wasn't timed with scares either. It just happened, every minute or so. Same sound, same volume, same pitch, too consistent to be accidental. Honestly, the terrible quality made it harder to turn off. Part of me was criticizing it. Another part of me wanted to see how something so bad could possibly end. Halfway through, I got up to use the bathroom. This time, I actually paused the movie. When I came back, I sat down, remote in hand, finger hovering over play. That's when I heard it again. That same metallic clang. But the movie was paused. I froze. The screen was completely still, no sound. no movement. And yet, I had heard it clearly, inside my house. That's when it clicked. It had never been part of the movie. I stayed completely still, listening, hoping I was wrong. Then, about 45 seconds later, it happened again. I didn't hesitate. I grabbed a knife from my desk and began checking every room. Closets, corners, behind doors. Nothing. No one. No signs of a break-in. But as I climbed the stairs back to my room, heart pounding, I heard it again. Quieter this time. Closer. That made no sense. Then I remembered the windows. It was spring. I'd been leaving them cracked open at night. That thought scared me even more. I pulled the curtain aside just enough to see the backyard. And that's when I saw it. One of my deck chairs, sitting in the middle of the lawn. And next to it, a child. A small one. Too small to be an adult. He was holding a PVC pipe. As soon as I looked at him, he slammed it against the chair. Clang. I stepped back immediately, my body filled with fear. I know it sounds stupid, being scared of a kid, but he'd been out there for nearly an hour, watching, waiting. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe he was lost. Maybe he needed help. I turned on the porch light and walked toward the back door. As I touched the doorknob, something felt wrong. If he needed help, why not knock? Why not call out? Why keep banging the pipe? For an hour? My gut screamed at me to stop. I backed away, slowly. I moved to the small window next to the door, kept the lights off, and barely lifted the blind. That's when I saw them. 2 men, dressed in black, crouched under my back door, waiting. One of them looked up and locked eyes with me. I dropped the blind and called 911. The banging started seconds later. They were breaking in. I ran upstairs and locked myself in the bathroom. I couldn't breathe. I heard the crash downstairs. Footsteps. Then, they were in my house. The doorknob turned. A violent kick hit the door. I screamed that the police were coming. Silence. Then the sound of them fleeing. The police arrived shortly after. There wasn't much they could do. No cameras, no descriptions. But the child. That changed everything. According to them, using a child meant planning, calculation. And that is what still terrifies me the most.